Hello, welcome to the Gamer Moment podcast. Today I'm with Smug Little Bug. I'm Demon Top Hat, and I'm a little sick, but we're going to be talking about quite a few things. Um, and welcome back, Smug. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm sorry to hear that you're sick. Hopefully that this video won't be too much of a strain on your voice. Um, for our first topic today, we'll be talking about. Oh shit! Oh no. Um. hmm, what have you been playing? You know.
Yeah, what have I been up to? I've been playing some, Darkest Dungeon 2. I just put out a review for that. And some Tape to Tape, which I plan to get a review out soon. And just kind of messing around with a couple of new games, Ghost Lore, and, one called Dungeon Drafters, which I think is really, really nice. And I might do a, video on that. It's kind of like a, card battling, but like you'd expect, but it's a strategy, um like a top-down strategy game, sort of like XCOM,
Okay.
but you draft packs and stuff. That's very cool. How about you? What have you been up to? Because I know we haven't talked too much in the past couple of days.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, Uh, the most, I'd like to talk about Street Fighter 6. We actually a few days ago played the Street Fighter
Oh, that's
6 beta.
right. We did, didn't we? Oh man. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm so excited for that game. I'm picking up the full the ultimate edition on the 31st, so the day before it releases. Man, it is incredible.
Absolutely.
Um
And as like I'm a, how do I put it? I don't play traditional fighting games, so we're talking about your Street Fighters, your Tekkens, things like that. The stuff where you have to have like specific inputs, like the input timings are a little tight. Mortal Kombat, for example. I'm a big fan of the arena fighter games, non-traditional fighting games. So we're talking like the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series, For Honor of all things, anything like that.
I I don't know if For Honor counts as an arena fighter. Hold
Well,
on.
I wouldn't. Well, I would put that under non-traditional. Uh,
Yeah, that's fair.
but yeah, I really do like For Honor. It's something just prevents me from playing it. I think it's been out for so long, and I think it's lived its life. I
Yeah,
think,
that's fair.
but it's great.
Yeah, yeah, Street Fighter 6 has the modern controls, which gives you so much availability as a casual player, I think, which is really nice because I know people need it. So many people have just avoided fighting games. They're not hard, really, right? It's easy to learn, to get into,
Right.
but it can be daunting. So having modern controls where you can figure out what character you like or play at some actual like high level. There's tournament players who are using modern controls, so
Wow.
that'll be good to see.
Is there Wait, are there tournament players playing modern controls?
Yeah, a couple of tournament players are looking at using modern controls instead of classic for the availability of like frame perfect inputs for supers and stuff. Or DPs or dragon punches, if you will. Like sure you can,
Yeah, okay.
right? Being able to do it on frame one means that people have to respect that or they die.
Punished. Yeah. I mean, that's a really good sign for like how good the controls are, or how good, how intuitive that is. Um, but yeah, going from disappointing games to games that have exceeded expectations. Tears of the Kingdom, or Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah,
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
it's.
Um,
I mean, I see no one posting anything story wise to that game 100% of the posts that I have been seeing, you know what I'm talking about already, people watching this, is the Korok bullying. I have seen horrible things done to Koroks, war crimes even. I've seen Korok crucifixion, Korok barbecuing, uh, sending them in the rockets over mountains. It is.
Yeah, my favorite's the Korok cannons. I'm not gonna lie. Just yeet the fucking Koroks off into the distance.
Yeah, I've seen people make like B-52 bombers in Zelda. I've seen an actual fucking Gundam in Zelda. Someone created that. It's
The creativity is off the charts.
amazing. And I hope it kind of scares me a little bit, because if you don't add that to the next Zelda game, it's gonna feel a little hollow, I feel like.
I don't think so. I think it's a cool system, but I think the next Zelda game's gonna go in a completely different direction.
Right. But people are definitely gonna be missing the building for sure.
Yeah, I really hope that the next game is actually like the section between, right? For I don't know if you know this, but there's an overarching story like sequence going on here. You have like the adult Link, the young Link, and then the hero fails arcs. Well, all of those link to Breath of the Wild. So somewhere there's a timeline merge, right? And that's the game I want to see next, is how do all these timelines merge? How did we get here to where all the timelines are linked together?
Cool. Yeah, I like the thought of that. That's really interesting. That, you know, this is gonna sound weird. That immediately put GTA in my head. Like, you know how in GTA you can like switch between Trevor, Michael, and Franklin?
Oh yeah,
Imagine
yeah,
you
yeah.
doing that in Breath of the Wild, if you switching between, you know, adult Link, child Link, and what is it, Teen Link, whatever the hell it is.
The hero
Hero
fails.
fails Link. That'd be really cool. That'd be insane.
Yeah, be
Um,
incredible.
Maybe we can have our fucking multiplayer Zelda game that people want so much, and maybe.
No, we can't have that. That'd be illegal.
Yeah,
It's
Nintendo would
Nintendo would hate that.
they'd combust. Um,
Yeah, so Tears of the Kingdom is really cool. I love that within the first hour of getting access to the building system, people were making flamethrower cock and bulls, so um that entertained me greatly.
mhm,
Um yeah, so that is exciting.
absolutely.
Uh
And we can move on from there, from a wonderfully performing game, to a game that I hope will perform wonderfully, or equally as well. The new Final Fantasy game that's coming out.
yeah, I know that you didn't know anything about it
I
until recently.
didn't. I'm about to have my whole ass gamer card revoked here. I don't know how a person
Goddamn
misses
right.
a Final Fantasy game, a rated M Final Fantasy game at that. That's a
Yeah,
crazy
it's
thing to
rated
miss out.
M. It is developed by the same guy who made Final Fantasy 14. That is what we're dealing with. God, what is his name? Yoshida? Not
I
Yoshida.
know the people call him Yoshi P.
Yeah, Yoshi P. That's the one. Yeah. So Yoshi P is developing Final Fantasy 16. It looks incredible. It's amazing already. We've only seen trailers. We've seen a little bit of combat. We've seen a little bit of like the Eidolon. So I'll talk about it a little bit because I don't know how much you've looked into it since finding out
Nothing of
about
it.
it. Perfect. Great. Okay. So basically people turn into Eidolons, which are like Garuda, Bahamut, Ifrit, that sort of stuff. There are just people with those powers. So we actually have like giant monster battles where you're Ifrit versus Garuda and you just go to town.
Huh. Interesting.
We see fights where you're just a normal person versus these big monsters, and it's gonna be very story driven, uh, more so than the other Final Fantasies, which is even more.
So it's more linear and less open world.
I suspect so.
Hmm.
Um, and it's Yoshi P. So whatever it's going to be, the story is going to be king. Because I think they pulled the person who made Shadowbringers over to make Final Fantasy 16's story.
Do you?
Um,
This is gonna. Where do you think this takes place on the timeline? Does it say? Does it like? Is it after
uh,
Noctis?
well,
Before? Not? Does it even matter? What's up?
it is in the Ivalice timeline, and bear in mind that the games don't actually have an overarching timeline; they're little segmented.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, they're sort of their own stories. That's already been confirmed by Square Enix's people,
Okay.
developers. That's what I was looking for.
I didn't know that.
So it is Ivalice, and it is older history. Not so it's
Oh.
definitely before Noctis and stuff.
Okay.
It's very I want to say Western almost in design this time.
That's how a lot
So
of like JRPGs have been going, and I'm loving like the mixing of cultures. It's amazing. Um, but
yeah, it's cool.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for it. But moving on to another trailer that I didn't miss, and I am incredibly excited for, my friend. Incredibly. I haven't been this excited for a game in, I don't know, maybe since Cyberpunk, I guess. Dragon's Dogma 2. The trailer for that got announced. It's been 13 long years since Dragon's Dogma first came out. And it looks, I mean, it looks like Dragon's Dogma 2. So I'll say in the sense that the graphics don't seem like crazy or anything like that, but definitely an improvement. And I'm completely okay with that because a lot of games out there, sorry, a lot of games out there, uh, have been the best kind of games. I feel like have just been straight improvements, like straight upgrades. Like they took what they
Yeah,
have and then they upgraded. For example, Borderlands 1 to Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2
yeah.
might be one of the most perfect games out there, looter shooter wise, FPS wise. It's almost unbeatable. And for Dragon's Dogma 2, they from what I've seen, they seem to have upgraded the combat. There's the graphics look better, and the story, I'm sure they'll, the story looks good from what I've seen. The giant dragon's back. To the people that I probably should have led with this, my apologies. To the people that aren't familiar with Dragon's Dogma 2, it's how do I even describe something like that? I'll describe the combat, and then you guys can kind of look at it yourself if
Yeah,
the trailer
because
is up here.
I feel like I should tell you right now, I've never played Dragon's Dogma.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know about it until like 2018. I see it, but I have never touched. It's always just been there, and I'm like, I know about this game, but I don't know. No, I've never played it.
Right. So, if people are familiar with Shadow of the Colossus combat, grabbing on the monsters, things like that, the combat is a bit similar to that. There's these giant monsters. We're talking chimeras, cyclopses, griffins, and you can climb onto them and like attack them. But your build, there's a lot of like build diversity. So they have classes called vocations, and you start off with your regular classes. Strider, which is like your rogue. We're talking daggers, bows, things like that. Fighter, we got warrior, sword, shield, things like that.
I
And
didn't know they had classes. I'm gonna
oh,
be honest. I thought it was all the
tons.
same.
They even have like hybrid classes, right? So you have your mage, fighter, rogue, and then eventually, once you level up, you get things called like the magical archer, right? are the Ranger, which isn't a hybrid class, but it's basically like the Strider class, where the daggers aren't as important, but you have a giant longbow that you can like charge to basically like one-shot stuff. Absolutely beautiful. The combat in that game is what sells it. Well, the story is amazing. It's your typical like Japanese story where you kind of start as like a little piece of shit nothing to basically the end of it is just like, okay, you're killing God now, without like too much
Oh
spoilers.
man, I love killing God.
Yeah,
That's my favorite pastime.
it's Japanese gaming's favorite pastime.
Yeah, that's for sure.
um,
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that it's gonna be part of the sequel curse. So, I believe in the sequel curse, where 90% of sequels end up being worse than the original. So I hope Dragon's Dogma 2 is in that way, but I definitely fear it.
After, look, 13 years, it's made by the person that made Devil May Cry. It better be good. It better be good. Or
Better.
I'm going to take my anger out on some Koroks in Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh God. Um, yeah, I guess that kind of leads into like hidden gems, right? Like we got some games that are just
Dragon's Dogma was a cult
unknown.
classic. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Would you like to take it off? Would you like to go first on
Sure,
that, or
sure. So I have a bunch that I can think of, but I kind of want to talk about a current one that I think is coming up.
what
And
would that be?
the original was that, and was also kind of that way. And that's Robocraft.
Tell me
And now
about
they're
it.
coming out with Robocraft 2, which is it's a robot building game. You build your robots and then you take your robots that you have built, and they have incredible building. They've got proper physics with like car wheels, flying physics. Um you can really craft out the bot to make it look incredibly pretty. And your goal here is to take your robot, right? Sit it in a battlefield and go and fight other players. And it's normally like a 5v5, or the original was 10v10 eliminations. And you kind of take over the enemy base over time, and it has destruction physics. So if you shoot
Ooh,
a laser at them, you will destroy parts of their robot. So like
you can like
blocks will
disarm
just fall
them.
off.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And it's got piercing mechanics, so it'll estimate how far it goes through the robot. Just really diverse building. Um, it's actually really incredible
It sounds
what
like it.
they've done.
It sounds like a
And
lot
with
of people's like dream because there's so many like there's so much like media out there of people just creating robots. Like for example, BattleBots, if you're familiar with that. Like isn't that the
yeah, BattleBots,
yeah.
Robot Wars back in the day.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and the new stuff that they're coming out with is looking incredible. It's such a huge step up. They've got logic gates.
Ooh,
You
explain.
can customize, so you have like little parts, so you can logic gate things like, okay, if enemy is close, or if this is one, then open doors to open out your weapons and have them slide out
Ah,
so that they're prepared to shoot. Or I actually built a robot like that where I had my guns towards the sides, and they would peek out so I could shoot them, kind of like Twisted Metal, which is ironically another hidden gem.
oh, absolutely. Oh, if you're to kind of like sidestep off of that, if you're a big fan of Twisted Metal, there is a Warhammer game coming out called Speed Freaks. It's basically Twisted Metal but with Warhammer orcs. I don't know, that might be something you might
I've
be
looked
interested in.
into it. I have looked into it. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I'm a little hesitant. It's a Warhammer game, and they're normally 50-50. I
Mhm.
mean, we compare it to like Dark Tide, which has been a mess since development because Fat Shark doesn't know how to make a good fucking game despite making Vermintide 2 good. That's a hot take. I hope you don't mind.
Oh,
But
please continue. That's fun.
I think it is incredible that there's gonna be a game like that, but I'm also hesitant because I'm worried that it's gonna end up garbage. And as a part of talking about Fat Shark, I guess they fixed Vermintide 2, right?
Hmm.
And then immediately start working on Darktide, and then completely forgot all of the things they learned from Vermintide 2 and made just a shittier game. I don't understand how you take all your lessons from this game and make a worse game.
Like, when you mean worse, you definitely don't mean combat rise. You probably mean like performance wise, right?
I'm talking. There's some combat issues, but not many. I will say that the combat is really fun, but you look at like performance being terrible. You look at you can't select your maps, at least on release, and so you can't pick a difficulty with a map that you specifically want to do.
Yeah,
You just have whatever is there.
whatever it gets.
You have a
yeah.
terrible crafting system. You had a god awful shop system, and then the not we're not talking like real money shop, by the way. I was talking like you have weapons you can buy as you level up.
Hmm.
Um and then like the blessing stuff that you had to upgrade the weapons. It was just all convoluted and not very worth it. And then towards the higher end of the game, all you do is checking the shop online outside of the game to see if there's a good weapon for you to grab, and if not, you don't play the game.
Yeah, they actually, during like the Warhammer Fest going on, they did release a new update, and I have been playing it more recently than you. The game's getting better. It's definitely doing a Vermintide 2, and the fact that it is getting better, just like Vermintide 2. So, we'll give it a bit. We'll give it a bit. I think
there were other things.
and not
I
to
just
give it too much of a pass, every game should just kind of work in the beginning of it, especially if you're paying for the product, but it is getting better. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it. There were skills that did the same thing, or just dramatically worse skills in the game.
Mm,
It was really weird, or skills that just don't do anything, um, on release. So I wonder if they fixed any of those.
they had to have.
Because
There's no way.
I hope to God they did.
Yeah. That gave me flashbacks to a little off topic, to one of the worst performing like performance wise games I've ever played in my entire fucking life. Uh what was it called? It was a Gearbox game. It was a game where you took your pills, your joy pills. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh fuck.
We Happy Few,
God.
I think.
Yeah, We Happy Few. I was so excited for that game, and then it
Gosh.
turned out to be shit.
It was so
Oh.
fucking bad. It was
Excuse
so
the gamer
bad.
word. I'm just. Oh man, it was so goddamn bad.
I remember
was so sad.
I played the early version of it when the Xbox, I don't know if they still have it, but you could like play games early on Xbox. That's how I actually got into Deep Rock Galactic. Such a better game. Anyway, but that game, when I played through it, I couldn't finish it, but through my entire playthrough of the game, I got to like the third act, and I just couldn't do anymore. Throughout the entire playthrough of the game, to no exaggeration, that game probably crashed around 50 to 60 times. Like it just cut off.
I was so excited because I thought it was gonna be like the next BioShock, right? It looked like the next BioShock, and then it turned out to be the next dumpster fire. I was so sad.
It was, yeah, and there were skills in that game that just didn't do anything. Like you would invest your points into them, and they just didn't work. It was just, I couldn't finish it. I could not finish it. The game was just, I just said, fuck it. It's not worth it. The story was really, it was interesting. Like, it was genuinely interesting. And they just fucked it up. They just fucked it
Yeah,
up.
I don't know. I wonder if they were in like development hell. You know what I mean? Like every developer at some point goes through the development hell stage, right?
Mm.
Where they will have one game that they just have so much problems and stuff with that they end up releasing a poor quality one.
So I
One that comes to mind is like No Man's Sky, terrible on release. They had so much development hell, especially with the one guy sitting there and promising incredible amounts of features
yeah.
that they had no way of making.
No, but what I can remember, if I'm remembering this correctly, and someone, maybe comment if I'm wrong. The game started off as like a not Gearbox game, and then Gearbox picked it up, and then Gearbox proceeded to like spoil everything by giving it all these like pre-order bonuses or buying like season pass things. And on top of that, I think they just pushed the game out before it was even ready. Like they just like really screwed over the like this gaming company that made it. I believe that's what happened. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Um,
it's a real shame what that happens or how that happens. Too many times. Too many times.
yeah. I think it's okay. I that like mediocre games that are bad could just die. It's okay, right? Just move on, let the game die, and
Yeah.
move on to something else.
I'm
I think a lot of games don't do that.
yeah, I'm like maybe we can like move on to hot takes, but that's kind of I guess my hot take where I think a lot of people kind of hold on to games more than they should or try to keep or even gaming companies try to keep games alive longer than they should. I think I truly believe that a lot of games should just kind of die and make way for like new games. And for example,
Yeah.
oh, please continue. Or
Oh
please go.
yeah. So I was all I was really gonna say is that to some degree I agree, but also like sometimes uh game developers just need more time and the game would be good,
Right.
right? It doesn't have to be a mediocre game. Mediocre games normally come out of not having enough time to develop the game fully, and I don't think game developers respect that anymore. And I know that it's publishers, not game developers, but the publishers themselves that push out games way before they're ready.
Right.
Right? If you just take a little more time, the money will come to you. We promise, right? You just make a good game and people will pay money to have the good game.
But they don't care. Can we can we talk about the Gollum game? Have you seen anything about that?
I haven't actually seen the game, so I don't know too much about it, but I've heard that it is like the worst disaster of all time.
It is. If I had to describe this game in one word, it would be disrespectful. It is.
Wait, I actually do know something about it. I remember now. They actually apologized about the game.
Yep.
And they were like, "Oh, we're sorry. It's terrible. We should have improved it and made it better. This is not our experience." But then I looked at Daedalic Entertainment. What good game have they made outside of Deponia?
I couldn't tell you. But I believe I saw something about how they delayed the game, even the Gollum game, and it still ended up like this after a delay. I just
Okay, so you can have a delay. Sometimes it's not ready after that delay. You can always
delay it again.
I think it's Kojima. Yeah, Kojima. I think Kojima said this.
Yes,
Somebody said
it was
this.
Kojima.
Somebody reputable,
I believe.
right? Where you can always delay a game and the game will eventually be good.
But a bad game is like bad forever or something.
Yeah,
along the
a
lines
bad
of that.
game is bad forever. It will always be terrible forever.
Right. I just like a lot of people like the publishers, things like that, CEOs, they don't care. That's why I think a lot of these like companies that have like shareholders, for example, like their whole entire motive is just infinite growth, making more money than last year. It's such a like a harmful thing. I think the video game industry, not even I know the video game industry is too big. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. I wish there was like maybe like a gaming crash or a gaming recession. So only like a few people can make video games because there's just so much utter shite coming out these days.
I don't mind the gaming boom. I think it's way so. I think that investors and stuff should look at video games as a continuous income source as opposed to a forever increasing income source. If they did that, it'd be way better.
Right.
Like video games will always just gain some money,
Right.
right?
But
It won't grow, but it'll be consistent income.
to these investors, you're basically going up to them and saying, "Hey, how about instead of making all of the money, even more than last time, you just make some of it?" They're not gonna have that. They're like, "Are you fucking crazy? Get the fuck
Yeah,
out of here!"
yeah.
But I agree.
That's true.
I
That's
agree.
true.
It's a smart way of looking at it.
I don't think that a game recession would be a good thing now, but I do think that I stopped looking at a lot of AAA games. There are
Right.
very few ones I pick and choose exactly which ones I want to touch now. I never pre-order.
Smart man.
So I always look at it as, okay, games are going to come out, but that doesn't mean if it's a AAA game, right, that it's going to be good.
Right.
Indie games, on the other hand, are fucking insane.
Oh, chef's kiss.
God damn it, another gamer word. I can't help myself today. I'm gonna blame the sickness. That's what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. So indie games have gone far beyond what it means for indie. And I think a lot of AAA games are kind of like B games now, like the old school B games from way back in the day, where like the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 era, where they were games that were just kind of off, right? They weren't like the great games. They were just the games that were okay, but a little jank.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about AAA industries now. They are like the jank B games, so we don't get very many actual AAA games anymore.
Yeah, I think Redfall is a jank B game you called it for sure.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh, that is like the I don't know if you can call that like jank. Like the enemies in the game could be stopped by like I remember I saw a clip from Moist Critical, I believe, where he just got between a vampire, like he put a box between him and a vampire, and it just couldn't figure out how to navigate around it. Like I don't know
Oh
how the
yeah.
fuck that. How does that happen? How does that happen, dear?
AI like is very hard to get right. To be fair,
Right.
so I don't blame them,
I
but
I
also I blame them.
I fully blame them. If you're what is it, was it a $7 game? If it's a $7 game and a AAA company, you get it right. Fuck you. I don't care. Or fuck that company. I mean, I don't
70,
care.
yeah.
You get it right. You get that right. You have no excuse. But jeez.
Speaking of games that are so we talked about AAA games and stuff. Speaking of AAA games, right? League of Legends, not an indie company. That's a AAA game, and it is a perfect game. That's my hot take today. That's my actual hot take. League of Legends is the perfect game. It is a game that hits all of the aspects of what makes games good. Exploration.
Exploration?
It hits, yeah,
What are you
I'll
exploring?
talk about that,
Go on.
right? The capabilities and exploring the mechanics of a character and being able to diversify your playstyle from other people. We'll talk about the progression system. So you get gold and you get gold, right? And that makes people happy. They see silly number go up, right? It has competitiveness. It has really satisfying.
Does it have the right competitiveness? Because I don't. To make it clear, I don't play League of Legends. Does it have like the same problems that Overwatch does, though? Like, do people feel like they're playing with people that are outside of their rank? Because
Yeah, but that's always gonna happen. It's not a fighting game. It's not 1v1. But yeah, so that does happen, but people do get frustrated. But I think overall, League of Legends is a pretty happy game. I think it's a good game. I know I'm gonna have a hot take on this. Everybody seems to diss on League of Legends, but I think that Riot has done incredible with updating the game. I think the game has most of the game design principles, if you will. Right, they're like the 7 pillars of gaming,
Mhm.
where if you hit all of these things like creativity, progression, exploration,
I
a competitive thing, and there's a couple others I can't think of right now. But it hits all of those. I think MOBAs in general hit all of those, but League of Legends in particular is the best one.
particular. I will say I would like to have like a person that like religiously plays League of Legends, which I'm sure isn't hard to find. Like come on here and like talk to you about that, because anytime I hear people talk about League of Legends, right, they never say anything good about it. Nothing. It's
They
always
don't.
complaining. Always.
They're always frustrated. They're always complaining about something. I totally agree, but they have a good thing and they want more. That's the
I
problem.
mean, they have to have a good thing, right? Because it's like I think it's like literally the most popular game in the world. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Exactly. Yeah,
but
they got like 68 million players. Maybe not the most popular, but definitely up
up
there.
there for sure.
Fortnite is the most
Oh
popular if I
fuck.
recall. It's got like 110 million or something like that. But
Yeah.
League of Legends has to be good, otherwise people wouldn't be so freaking addicted to it.
And I will say that it is like many MMOs, right? But it is very accessible. Like I have a friend that was saying that she was playing this on like a non-gaming laptop at like 15 frames a second. So it's everyone can play it apparently. So it has that going for it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just like Fortnite. Um but yeah, I really love that reminds me uh of a game called Battleborn. It's actually the Overwatch killed it. Funnily enough.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember Battleborn. It was like the I think didn't you have to shoot like the like insects and stuff and you got like
Insects.
or
Um
whatever. They're like the NPC creatures. It was like PvE,
yeah.
VP.
It was so it had two like Overwatch 2 should have been. It had a story mode like a PvE kind of thing, right? And it had PvP and a diverse cast of characters. It was amazing. One of the characters was like a four-armed witch. I think her name was like Deandy or something like that, and she was voiced by Ash. I forgot the person that voiced Tiny Tina in Borderlands. But yeah, the PvE or the PvP, I should say, was also PvPvE, like you said earlier. I think that game was way ahead of its time because it was literally an FPS MMO because it had like lanes and everything like that. I didn't even know what I was playing at that time. I've never played I at that time I haven't played an MMO in my life, and I just thought it was like the most fun thing. You could like have your own builds and things like that. But it got killed because of the lack of players playing it and people comparing it to Overwatch. And I don't think the games were very comparable. I'll be honest with you, but I mean, it is what it is at the
Yeah,
end
they
of the
were
day.
definitely different games. They were definitely different. I think one of the other things that had an issue is that it didn't get updated very much. I think it had really slow update times.
Mm, I probably. I honestly don't remember. It's been years now, but I'll take your word for it on that one for sure.
Yeah, I remember within a couple of months it was like $7 or $5, like in
Ugh.
a GameStop back when GameStop was around.
Yeah, that it's definitely a sad way to go. It went out with the whimper. It also had like these beautifully like wonderful like fully animated cutscenes and things like that. The game had so much style and personality and that like typical Gearbox humor. which was like very like the humor for that time was like spot on, like in that era of time. To go from dead games to games that were dead but got a revive, like a resurrection. Titanfall 2 North Star. Are you familiar with that right now?
I've heard some of it, right? I know that it's like a revival that fixes a lot of the hacking issues that they had, and I know COD Modern Warfare had a similar thing, but Activision was like, "Oh no, we can't have this," and got rid of it. But
Right.
I'm not sure if there's any. Is there any other changes for North Star?
I don't believe so. I do not. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it. I've just seen like YouTubers play it. But from what I can just tell, it just makes the game playable, which is a really crazy thing to say. But yes. Uh,
Yeah, I've never gotten around to playing Titanfall 2. I've got both Titanfall and Titanfall 2, and I just haven't gotten around to actually playing them. So I definitely will have to check that out because I know the multiplayer experience is
please
supposed to be
do.
good.
It's fantastic. It is so. It's just peak. Like the movement mechanics, the giant titans. It's so fresh. It's so fresh. And I say that with
Oh,
malice in my heart, thinking about Call of Duty and Battlefield, but it's so fresh.
yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, speaking of movement mechanics, kind of going back to an older topic we were just talking about, right? I love movement mechanics in video games. Incredible fun. And something that Titanfall 2's mechanics remind me of is like Guns the Duel. I don't know if you knew about this game. It was a 2004 game from Mayan Entertainment, and it basically exclusively lives through private servers now.
I've seen
But
videos about it here and there, but tell me about it.
yeah, so it is a game that is built off of complete accidents. All of it
Oh,
was a mistake.
I'm loving it.
Um, the game started as just a regular third person shooter. You just shot your friends and you could like barrel roll or whatever. Not barrel roll. You could like tumble, right? Tumble forwards or backwards or sideways.
Mm-hmm.
With a sword you could dash, and then you could like run on walls, and then people figured out that you could just cancel everything. So
Oh no.
we went from, oh man, we can tumble and this is a really terrible third person shooter, to, okay, we can slash at a wall, press jump, and we'll fly into the air. So now we can dash in the air, switch out to our gun, the shotgun will shoot, and then immediately switch to the other shotgun and that one will shoot, and we're flying everywhere. We're like doing 3 slashes and a single jump. We're going, you know, you can shoot and dash at the same time and then bounce back and dash in the other direction and
It's just
really trick
crazy.
people.
Yeah.
It just popped off out of nowhere and just went like absolutely insane. And I wish we had another game that had mechanics like that. Right? It was so fun. I just want to see a proper game that represents that style of gameplay because it was so unique. It was so incredibly fun.
From the videos I've seen of
Um,
it, absolutely. Like, unique is definitely the word to describe it.
it might be 400 actions per minute, but man, it felt good.
And that just got me thinking. There's a lot of games out there where, and the game that you're talking about, it took the opposite approach to this, what I'm about to say. But there's a lot of games out there where the more gamers play it, the more like optimized it gets, and like the more streamlined and unfun it gets. You know, like people go like metas, stick to metas, things like that. But and the game gets a little stale. But from what I've seen of that game, the more people knew about it, the more they broke it open. Like you said, the fact that you could like cancel everything and all that stuff, it just sounds like the more people knew about the game, the more fun it got, and that's amazing to think about.
Yeah, it just scaled up.
I
Yeah.
can't really think of too many other games where the more people learned about it, the like more fun and free it got, right? Free, I guess, is the word they use for sure. Cause
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of games out there where it's like, okay, this is the best weapon for this. You know, this is the highest time to kill weapon, things like that. You have to take
Didn't
this route.
Brink do that? Where because I think Brink had that same thing where the more people learn about it, the better it got.
I believe so.
Granted, that game was weird as hell,
Weird,
right?
and I feel like it was before its time as well. It's definitely like a really weird mark on Bethesda's, I guess, game list. Um, so much so that they they never bring it up. I wonder if they're like ashamed of it, maybe. Uh, but there's nothing to be ashamed about. That game had like wonderful movement mechanics and class based system. Like you had like a lightweight which could like move more, right? And then you had the medium weight and then the heavyweight, and you had like basically TF2 spy of all the things to have in the
I'm not
game.
gonna hold you. That was my favorite character. I love just sneaking up on people.
It was really
Right.
cool. Like, and I was fairly young when I played that. So it was like seeing someone run around with your name plate in your character. That was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
whoa, I've never seen this before. What the fuck? So,
Oh man, I gotta go back and look at it because I feel like if I looked at it now, I'd be like traumatized by how old it looks. But yeah, definitely before its time.
it,
Its mechanics were good.
yeah, the graphics don't hold up. And
Yeah, I
I
figured.
don't think the shooting holds up either. Which might be one of the
I don't
reasons
know,
why.
maybe.
I don't know. Why did it die? That's one thing. That's a mystery for me right there. Why did it die? Cuz I don't want to like just, suck it off and be like the game was just ahead of its time. People weren't ready for it. I'm sure it had like a proper reason why it died. But I do wonder.
Oh God, was it an EA game
It was
or which company
Bethesda.
had it?
Bethesda.
Oh, it was Bethesda. That's why it died, right? If it's not Skyrim or if released for the 53rd time, right? It's not a real game.
Oh, that'd be amazing if they released Skyrim and then had like they just did like a Brink Easter egg in it. I'd be like, what the? That's all you need to keep me happy. Just give me a Brink
Well,
Easter egg.
I've got my ear to the ground on the new Elder Scrolls game. I know that Bethesda don't have a good track record, but now Microsoft owns their ass, so who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I just we really don't have enough information at all. Like you said, you're keeping your ear to the ground. I don't know how it's gonna turn out. It's definitely gonna be better than Skyrim though. If it isn't, I'm gonna cry. I don't know how they'd fuck it up, but yeah. But another Bethesda game, Starfield. I mean, how are you feeling about that?
I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't played it. It kind of not interests me because I have Elite Dangerous, which is my space game of choice. I have a full setup for it, so I've got like the whole thruster and stick. I have a voice mod, so I can voice command out like commands, and it will do the thing. So I can be like thrusters 75%, and it will respond back to me with like an anime girl voice, thrusters 75%, and it will change the thrusters.
That's really
Right,
cool.
it's really cool.
Would
Right.
you? It has a VR, right? Would you ever like to play it in VR? Would that be like
Yeah, if I
interesting? To you?
ever could afford VR, I'm gonna be honest, right? I've been saving up to get VR. I want VR, but I don't own VR.
Mm. I was considering playing it because I played it. Oh dear, in high school years ago, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was a little slow and boring for my teenage brain at the time, but I would definitely like to give it another chance in VR for sure.
Yeah, definitely give it a chance with the new DLC though.
It's
Right?
multiplayer, right? Just to be clear.
Yeah, it is multiplayer.
You ever?
But they added DLC where you can land, you can pirate people.
Oh,
They added space aliens that will just absolutely destroy you.
when you mean land,
Um,
do you have like a character now? Are you like not just a ship? Or?
yeah, you could be a physical character, but also you can legitimately land on planets, right? And then take a little rover around to collect resources or to inspect different things.
Hmm.
So I did a grand journey of 150 planets where I explored 150 planets in a big circle to acquire money.
Okay.
Which discovery is where you go and find new planets and stuff like that, and sell that data back to make money. So I have like a big federal ship, which is the Federal Corvette. It's absolutely massive. Um, and I basically run around with that big boy and shoot stuff. I also have a big hulker for like transporting goods, and then my new ship is a just like a regular looking ship, but I've got swarm rockets on it. Um,
To kind of like fight off bandits or whatever.
no, to bandit people. I will drop in on people and I'll be like, hey, give me this and this and this, because I'll scan them, figure out what they
Mm.
got, and I'll let you go.
Right.
Right. And most of the time people will respect that, right? They'll go, okay, we'll give you the stuff so we can leave. Right. And I won't touch them after that.
Would you
But if people
this sounds very interesting. Would you ever consider like showing me the ropes?
Oh god, yeah, go that'd be super fun. We'll drop in and we'll do some fun stuff. We'll do some bounty fights, or I can have you in a little like mini ship that because I have a carrier that can shoot out extra ships, and you can be one of those ships.
That's cool.
So they have multi controls. So if you wanted to be a partner, you can actually get on my ship and pilot the ship with me.
Uh to like I guess kind of sidestep that but it's kind of like in the same vein. Star Citizen, are you kind of interested in that?
God, no, not even a little bit. I'll be honest, right? They've sunk so much money, they've asked for so much money, and it is still a terrible game. I will hold on to that. It's vaporware. It will never release. It will never be a good game.
It will probably never
Um,
release. They apparently did an update where they I think they just like really broke the game. Like they made it incredibly laggy because they added this really cool feature, right? Where uh I think every single object in the world that a player placed is persistent. So if you were to like go out in the middle of space and then like just throw a bottle out of your ship or something like that, and then go a fucking I don't know like 1,000 light years I have no idea away, someone else can like find that bottle. Like that bottle will always be there, like forever apparently, or some shit like that. And it apparently made the
that
game really laggy,
sounds
but it's really cool.
that sounds really cool until you realize that we're all gamers, and so there's just gonna be a bunch of junk all over in space, and then we're gonna have just junk everywhere, and they're gonna crash into junk all the time.
I think I'm okay with that because that sounds really cool and a little realistic because there's gonna be space junk. I mean, there's so much space and the game is so big. I don't I don't think it should be too much of a problem. There would definitely be trolling, but I don't think it'd be too much of a problem. I think that game I kind of take it back. I think the game will eventually come out, maybe, probably, but I think a lot of like the tech in that game will be like auctioned off or sold or something like that whenever the game I feel like dies. Cause I don't know, the game doesn't seem very it doesn't seem too popular. I feel like getting into that game is like a large ask. Cause you have to like buy a ship with like real money, I believe, in order to get into the game or something like that.
Yeah, to get really involved with the game, you have to go and buy a ship and actually get in, and the ships are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
I remember they had like $1,000 ship, and it was like, why? Why did you need this?
I think the game is gonna live for a little bit because their audience is definitely like hardcore gamers, and these hardcore gamers are most likely like 30-year-old plus like dudes that are like whales. So I think they have like the audience to spend the money on those ships, but I mean eventually the well's gonna run no pun intended, the well is gonna run dry. You can only buy so many ships, I think. Uh, but yeah, I am interested in seeing where the future of Star Citizen is going to go for sure. I'd like to give it a whirl. They have been doing a lot of free to play days though. Um, I keep seeing like an ad for that every month where it's like it's free from this month to or this time to this time. So I don't know. I might give it a try. I might give it a try.
Yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
think also not being on Steam might be hurting it a little bit. Sorry, continue.
Maybe.
A little
I
bit.
I guess.
Maybe because League of Legends isn't on Steam, and look at that game.
They do really well. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna move on to our one of our commenters had mentioned Sonic Adventure 2, and I felt like we gotta have a Sonic reference now because you talked about Cyclops Sonic. So I'm gonna call him out, right? Sonic Adventure 2, the only level that is good is the first one. Everything else about that game is terrible. I will fight you for it.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, because I'm not like a huge Sonic fan, obviously. I heard people really like the Chow Garden. Isn't the Chow Garden in Sonic Adventure? If you're familiar with that?
Maybe it is in Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah.
But
Still,
yeah, the Chow Garden
still.
would be a little good.
Terrible game. Right. And speaking of anybody, if you'd like to comment and you have thoughts about it, we'll talk about it. We'll definitely talk about interesting things or topics that you have. And then you should definitely like and subscribe because both of us will punch out a bunch of new podcasts every month. And we all do our own little thing. With Smug doing a lot of VR stuff, and then I do a lot of review stuff. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah. I definitely would like to have like a person on the show where I can argue about Sonic. No, I'm kidding. I will never do like a.
What, you don't want to do a whole Sonic segment?
Oh dear, just
be like, I asked 100 people in VR chat what they thought about Sonic.
oh my goodness, that might be a really good video, and I hate it. I hate the the idea of, you're gonna get like some like Sonic lore expert, and they're just gonna go on for like 15 to 20 minutes. It's crazy.
Yep, that's what I'm giving you now, right? You have to deal with that. That exists now.
I used to have. Oh, let me tell you one of my craziest moments in VR chat. There is this person I saw in their profile. What is it? Splatoon lore CEO or something like that. And I'm like, okay, so you're the CEO of Splatoon lore? Tell me all about it. And then she goes, okay, do you have time? And I'm like, oh no, what did I just get myself into? Because I thought it was gonna be like a little joke.
Terrible
Yeah, horrible. So she takes me down to like a lower level of like the world where it's just the two of us, and I believe I still have the recording somewhere. I think it was like 45 minutes of her spouting Splatoon lore from like the first and second game.
Oh no.
It was amazing. It was weird. It was terrible. It was amazing though.
Wait, I didn't even know Splatoon had lore.
It has deep lore and racism, believe it or not.
Oh god. Well, that's the gamer moments for you, I guess.
Yeah. Or speciesism?
Man, imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck squids.
It's that was I guess tell me a game. How do I put it? What's like your favorite lore from like a video game that you play?
Oh god, lore.
Like if you had to like pick like a top one, like out of all the games you played, like this one has the best lore, hands down. It may not be the best game, but like the best lore cannot be beaten.
Okay. So I realize I'm going to preface this now. The lore is terrible. The lore is awful. Right? Mm-hmm. It's a terrible story. But I really, really like Star Ocean's lore. So Star Ocean is it's an RPG. Mm-hmm. So the original one and Star Ocean 2 were like traditional RPGs. And then my personal favorite, Star Ocean Till the End of Time, was an RPG that had like soft cancelable moves, but it was kind of like an action RPG
Okay.
where every battle you'd get into like an action arena and you could fight people there. And I had a really interesting system where if you were close range, you'd do some certain attacks, and then if you were far range, you could do different ones. So you had like a combo system.
So it's you're saying it's like the game's really similar to something like Roblox, right? No, I'm kidding. I'm fucking with you. I'm kidding.
I'll fight you. No. So the whole lore, right, is like space people, but they have rules, the actual rules about indigenous species. So and there's this kid. This kid is Fate, and Fate has special voodoo bullshit powers. That is the best I can explain. Basically, he had the ability of destruction, and he could just control or he could just Alt F4 whatever he wanted to do, right?
Oh.
So there's a spaceship, he just Alt F4s it, right? And he's the hero, right? He doesn't get these powers immediately. He figures it out later that he actually has these powers. But the whole thing about Till the End of Time is that you get about halfway through the game, or 3/4 of the way through the game, and then suddenly, right, turns out that the 3D world is just a game that people play in the 4D world. So you go to the 4D world, right, and find the real world is in 4D.
Huh.
So you have the 4th dimensional world, which just looks like the 3rd dimensional world, but like more techie, if that's possible.
Interesting.
So it was just an absurd lore switch. And it's got a chronological order, but for some reason now the entire story of Star Ocean is, well, there's a 4D world and anybody in the 3D world is just playing a game.
That sounds
just
really
absurd.
Cool. I feel like
it was terrible. But that game had a really short story, and then like 250 levels of an extended bonus area.
Did you say 250 levels of extended bonus?
255 levels. So you had 255 levels of a dungeon, and you'd go through the dungeon, each level, and bosses would get incrementally harder, and then about level 150, things get absolutely nuts, and suddenly you're facing bosses that can just sweep you in a single hit.
Okay. Huh. Interesting.
It's absurd. I think I'm gonna put a video where I get somebody to play that game. If you're interested, I'll put you through the ringer and make you play it.
I'm gonna have to take you up on that offer. I'm gonna have to take you up on that offer.
With that said, I think this is a good spot now that we've kind of discussed some of these variety of things, right, from Overwatch 2 to you know, hidden gems, stuff like that. If you guys would love, we'd appreciate it a whole lot if you guys would like and subscribe. It helps our channels out. And comment down below thoughts and feelings about some of these games, or even just tell us what games and stuff you would like to talk about. It's been a pleasure. This has been the Gamer Moments, and I'm Demon Top Hat, and of course,
I'm Smug Little Bug, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.